have a bevy of brand new stories here for you guys for the Nintendo Switch 2. Things such as a brand new trailer for Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, Age of Imprisonment review scores. We actually have a patent being kind of challenged from Nintendo that I think some people will be happy that it's being challenged. At least we'll talk about the implications of that, and a little bit of a graphical comparison, just a smidge from Metroid Prime 4. I forgot to bring that one up. We'll combine that with the trailer. Oh, and yeah, there's this thing going on with Dragon Quest Reimagined where there's a bonus ending to the game, and this ending was never in the original release, so kind of interesting about that. Now, before we dive in, we are giving away 3 copies of Age of Imprisonment and 5 copies of Kirby Air Riders. You can enter through the links down in the pinned comment or the description, and let's go ahead and get into this first trailer. And you know what? We're just going to watch this thing in its entirety. It's only like a minute long, and we'll talk about it right after. All right, folks. So obviously, you know, we go back and just watch the trailer a little bit here again. Look, guys, I am really excited for Metroid Prime 4, and I feel like this is the very first trailer that drives home a welcome balance for new players and old players alike. I think they did a really great job. It's been one of the best cut and put together trailers yet. We see multiple different environments with that massive scale shown. We've seen a lot of fast-paced combat instead of some of the slower-paced stuff, which we do know is part of the Prime series at times. But, you know, there's a lot of fast-paced action in the Prime series as well. We see some new psychic abilities we haven't seen before. We see some different areas and different boss fights and everything. Honestly, this is a really, really well put together, well thought out trailer. And honestly, it kind of feels like from last Sunday, this last Sunday we just had, where they had like a little teaser of Metroid Prime 4 dropped on social medias to this trailer. The real marketing's begun. Now we could talk about how marketing's actually been going on for months, but I'm talking about like the launch marketing, you know, that month lead up. Today marks exactly 30 days until the release of Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. So today feels like the natural best day to, you know, talk about this and have this be around. And we're not done talking about it because there's a user over on Family Wars I want to get some credit for. Lobo Rundis here, this guy right up in here, created a slider that we can use just to do a graphics comparison of one area. I presume this graphics comparison is like Switch 1 versus Switch 2. We don't know definitively because Nintendo doesn't always label their footage, but it's basically footage from last year of one area and this year. And I like this screen cap. So on the left is 2024 Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, which we assume is the Switch 1 version because Switch 1 was the only thing announced at the time. And we think this is the Switch 2 version on the right. And you can kind of see, here's the full look at the Switch 2 version. Things look pretty crisp, pretty clear, lots of detail. Obviously, bring this over and things look much blurrier. Now, it's possible that this is just a game being visually upgraded over time and the Switch 1 version isn't this blurry. But it does show like a pretty stark difference, even going all the way back to the hole Samus is coming out of. It obviously looks way better here in this second screenshot, which is from the most recent trailer. So last year's trailer reveal, this year, obviously we're seeing a pretty big visual difference there. So take that for what you will. Let me know what you think about that visual difference down below. Do you think it's gotten significantly better? Do you think it's worse? You know, there's a lot of talks about this. Now we have to get to today's negative story. I mean, that's what it is, negative for Nintendo anyways. And that is because the US Patent Office is actually looking into one of Nintendo's patents to potentially deny it. So US Patent Office boss orders re-examination of Nintendo's controversial summon character and let it fight Pokemon patent, which IP experts claim further undermines credibility of its case against Palworld. All right. So the director of the United States Patent and Trademark Office has ordered a re-examination of Nintendo's controversial summon character and let it fight Pokemon patent after it was heavily criticized by IP lawyers. In September, IP lawyers criticized the US patent system and the USPTO after Nintendo was awarded a Pokemon patent that revolves around summoning a character and letting it fight. GamesFray reported that patent 12403397, dubbed the 397 patent, was granted by the USPTO without any objection to Nintendo, which is embroiled in ongoing litigation with Pocket Pair's Palworld. Well, the patent sums up how Pokemon games work in that you summon Pokemon to battle other Pokemon in hope of adding them to your collection. There are countless other games that use similar mechanics, such as Persona, Digimon, and even Elden Ring, depending on how the patent is interpreted. At the same time, IP expert Florian Mueller took to social media to say Nintendo should never have received a summon character and let it fight patent in the first place, while video game patent lawyer Kirk Sigmund told PC Gamer these claims are in no way allowable. Now, GameFray has reported that Donald Trump nominee John A. Squires, who only became director of the USPTO in September, has personally ordered a re-examination after he determined the substantial new questions of patentability have arisen to certain claims made by the patent. Here is the description. The 397 patent, issued with claims drawn to controlling movement of a player character in a field of a virtual space, causing a sub-character to appear in the field, controlling a battle in a manual mode while an enemy character is present in the location. The sub-character has appeared, and when an enemy character is not present in the location the sub-character has appeared, automatically moving the sub-character and controlling a battle in an automatic mode with an enemy character is placed at a designated location. In this order, Squires points to two older U.S. patent applications, one filed by Konami in 2002 and one by Nintendo in 2019, as prior art references. Both Squires said would be important in deciding whether the claims are patentable, and each raises a substantial new question of patentability. Mueller, writing for GameSpray, says Squires' order was down to the public outrage at the award of the patent and concerns about the reputation of the U.S. patent system as a whole. While this re-examination isn't a revocation order, Mueller insisted it is now highly likely the USPTO will revoke Nintendo's 397 patent, and Nintendo gets 2 months to respond. Now, what does this mean for Nintendo and the Pokemon Company's high-profile legal battle with Pocket Pair? Mueller said it further undermines the credibility of Nintendo's patent assertion against Pocket Pair's game. This is the latest blow for Nintendo in its legal battle against Palworld. Last month, one of Nintendo's patents related to its monster capture patents filed last year was rejected by the Japan Patent Office for lacking originality. They also have 2 months to respond to that one. The biggest thing here, of course, is with it being rejected in Japan, the one patent we talked about, it's not one of the patents that's actually involved in the lawsuit, and none of the patents in the US are technically involved in the lawsuit. It does show that even regardless if Nintendo can prove any sort of fault at all on Pocket Pair's behalf, there's even reports out there that say, no matter what happens here, Nintendo's going to lose money on the lawsuit. Nintendo's only seeking about $67,000 US in damages. I want you guys to let this sink in. Nintendo's going after Pocket Pair, and all they really want in return is $67,000. That's it. They're going to pay more in lawyer fees than this case is actually worth in the court system. It does make it sound like an even pettier court case than is real, because Nintendo's not really even going after much. They're not trying to put Pocket Pair out of business. They're literally just trying to make a legal precedent point, I suppose, with their patents. And so far, the patent offices in Japan and the US, and maybe initially cooperated, like they had this patent initially granted in the US, that might be revoked now. Now, again, doesn't mean the patent won't get approved in the future. Nintendo has had patents revoked in the past, and they've revised it, and then that revision was rejected. But every time a revision is rejected, they're given a time period to revise again. And I believe one patent Nintendo had rejected took them 6 different revisions before it finally got approved. So this is one of those cases where, yeah, things are getting rejected right now. Doesn't mean that it won't come back into Nintendo's favor down the line. But we'll have to wait and see on that front. I think this whole lawsuit with Palworld is kind of frivolous and stupid. And I don't really think that it's a good look for anyone involved. But I don't know, man. Nintendo's not the only company trying to patent gameplay mechanics. I know people try to act like they are. No, they're just one of the few companies that did it and are involved in suing someone over it. There are plenty of companies who've actually patented several different gameplay mechanics. They just haven't sued anyone over it. So take that for what you will. All right, we have to get to some more fun news now. This is the kind of news I live for here. Brand new content with a never-before-seen ending getting added to Dragon Quest VII Reimagined. This is according to Game Informer over here. And it says, Dragon Quest VII Reimagined is gracing the cover of Game Informer issue. The digital version of the issue is live today, ahead of the physical copies hitting mailboxes starting next month. As such, you can expect all kinds of coverage about the game. Okay. And it says, while talking to the Reimagined producer, Takeshi Ichikawa, about this remake, Square Enix's second remake following the release of the original Dragon Quest VII in 2001 in the US and the 3DS remake in 2016, he spoke about some of the changes happening in the main scenario. We'll have more on that this month, but for now, I want to focus on something that might excite players already familiar with the narrative of Dragon Quest VII, a new ending. Here's a quote. Reimagined follows the narrative of the original story, but depending on some of the player choices, players will get to see new conclusion that's never been seen before in previous iterations, Ichikawa tells me. So even players who have played previous versions of Dragon Quest VII, they'll still get to have this fresh narrative experience with Reimagined. Fortunately, he couldn't glean much more from him. The game is coming out on PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, Switch 2, Switch PC on February 5th. So we won't have to wait long, but still, really excited just to see new story content, a new ending, potential new ending. You might not run into it. It kind of just depends on the choices you make. But that's really exciting stuff. And look, I'm really happy that Dragon Quest VII is being treated with such respect and reverence, and obviously getting some additional content. Now we got to get into the last story. There's a big game launching for Switch 2 this week, another exclusive published by Nintendo, and it's Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment, my most anticipated game of the year. And every time I said that in the past, people legitimately believe it because I'm a huge Zelda fan, but there's always been this really? A Warriors game? You anticipate that more than Expedition 33 and Metroid Prime 4 Beyond? Yes, I'm that big of a shill for Zelda. It is what it is. And I loved Age of Calamity. And I love the original Hyrule Warriors and even Hyrule Warriors Legends. I love those games. But here's the thing about Warriors games. They don't tend to review the greatest. And that happened again with Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment clocking in at a 78. Now we'll look at some of these reviews here just to get kind of a summary. On the top end, we have Voxel saying Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment not only stands as the pinnacle of the Musa genre, brings variety to a style of it brings a variety to a style of combat and repetition and marked structure, but more firmly it places among the best canonical Zelda titles. Koei Tecmo absorbs everything that makes the Zelda franchise so special and delivers a work worthy of making Aonuma and Miyamoto proud. That's on the top end, but we should probably go by the bottom end as well. So on the bottom end, we have this Metro Game Central review at a 40 that says insanely repetitive, horribly shallow, and pointlessly easy. This is the absolute least interesting thing to do with Zelda on the Switch 2, and bad even by the low standards of the Dynasty Warrior franchise. Yes, yes, that is one. We'll go look at a mixed review as well. Let's grab one from, I don't know. Let's just do the one that was at the top here. We got GameSpot here. And it says a few issues hold it back, but Hyrule Warrior Age of Imprisonment marks a high point in the spin-off series, iterating on its righteous hack and slash combat with depth and variety. Again, lots of variance in the opinions out there. I will note that I believe Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity was a 78 as well, and I believe the original Hyrule Warriors on Wii U was a 76. And I know Dynasty Warriors Origins, one of the higher rated Dynasty Warrior games. They have Dynasty Warrior games rated all the way down in the 60s. I think that's a 79, and that released earlier this year and is already announced for Switch 2 as well. So it's notable that the Warrior games, these hack and slash kind of games, they always seem to rank in the 70s somewhere. So this 78 is pretty much par for the course. And honestly, I kind of expected it to be a mid to high 70s. I didn't expect this thing to hit in the 80s. If it would have hit in the 80s, I would have been completely surprised because it doesn't even make sense for the way that these Muso games generally get rated. They're very much, you either like them or you don't. That seems to be the crux of Muso games. If you played Age of Calamity and loved it, if you played Hyrule Warriors and loved it, chances are you're going to really love this game as well. If you didn't like those games, well, nothing happening here is going to make you like this game. Maybe the story can drive you to keep playing it because it's canonical, but that's about it for some people. So All I know is I'm picking up my copy. I'm excited to play it because I love the prior entries. And this one has canonical story, which means I'm probably going to enjoy this one even more. And we'll be live streaming it on Thursday. So there you go. Let me know what you think about all this stuff down in the comments below. I am Nathaniel Rovojans from Nintendo Prime. And as always, I'll catch you guys in the next video.